Hello, it is Logan with the Motorcycle Forge, and today in the mail we got the piston for our Dt175. First thing we want to do is make sure we've ordered the right piston. So here's our new piston versus our old piston. Identical, which is very good news for our motor. Now, it's very important that you read the instructions. So as you can see here, luckily I can read Japanese. This says, this piston will make your motorcycle tons of fun. The second thing we're going to do with our new piston is we're going to gap the rings. So we have two rings here, but right at the end there's some words. So that's the brand TKJR, and there's the oversize there. See, it's on a two-stroke, so I don't think it actually matters which one's top, which one's bottom. Whereas on a four-stroke it does. There's different chamfers on the inside and the outside. We need our barrel and our ring, and we're going to just slide it, just sit it in there, just like that. So it's just sitting inside the top. Grab your piston upside down and just push it down a little bit, and the piston will make sure it's even so that we're not gonna have an inaccurate measurement. We're going to measure what the ring clearance is. So we'll start at 12 thou, which is 0.3 of a mil. When you're checking the ring clearance, you just want to slide it in. You just want light contact. You don't want it grabbing and moving the ring. Go to 19. Oh, we might have a winner. Right, so that is too tight. It's not going in. So let's go back 1. So that's 19. Okay, so we're going to go 0.45 of a mil. That's a nice fit. Double check. Get the big one out again. 0.48 of a mil. And that won't fit. So we've got 0.45 of a mil. Oh, okay, I'm telling fibs, it doesn't fit. Okay, that's our clearance. 0.48 of a millimeter. Now, I'll say it's the top ring. Doesn't matter. Top, bottom, they look like they're the same. Put that in, check the next one. Yes, they are. Both of our rings are at 0.48 of a millimeter, and I wrote it down there. The specification for this, I just checked, is 0.3 to 0.5 of a millimeter. So they are on the looser side, but they're within specs, so they will be good to go. Next thing you want to do, this is probably the most obvious thing to check. Make sure the piston fits in the barrel. So the skirt will be the tightest bit because it's narrow at the top where the rings are, and that's a nice fit. So it was already 0.25 millimeter over this barrel, and it was in good nick, so I've just bought another 0.25 millimeter over piston. If I can get it out of here, there we go. And just giving it a light hone. So that's the old one. It was in pretty good nick. You can see there's not much wear on there. There's a little bit, but you can't actually feel it with your finger. It's very light. So yeah, this piston I could have put back in it, but I thought, we'll chuck a new one in. All right, so that's a new piston. Next, we're going to put the rings on the piston. There's no real special way to put them on. You just got to be gentle. You do not want to cause, you don't want to break the ring, because then you're out of luck. It's one ring in. Now they have a way up. So if you look, the rings have a divot on the edge, on the end where you measure the end gap, and that is for locating it. So on a two-stroke, there's a pin here and there's a pin here, and these line up so that when the piston's going up and down, it holds your rings in one spot, so the end gap is not going to slide over a port opening, because if it slides over an opening, it will catch and break things, and then you'll cry and bike no brum brum, or in this case, ding ding. Alright, there we go. Rings are on there, easy enough. I just got some two-stroke oil here, which is the oil I'm running in the bike, and I just want a tiny bit of it, and I'll just put it on the bearings, just so that they got a little bit of lubrication. Not too much, because obviously all this has got to go through the motor, combustion, etc. Next, we're just going to do the same with that gudgeon pin. A tiny wee bit of oil, so I'll try not to make a mess. Literally like one drop, just like that. And we'll just rub it around to keep things nice and slippery. Put our piston in position. Slide our gudgeon pin through. Right, so these are our circlips, and these go on either side of the gudgeon pin, and we grooves in the piston and stop the gudgeon pin sliding side to side and allowing it to hit the cylinder wall, pretty much. Right, so I will give you a better view. There's a wee groove in which that circlip sits in. And yeah, and also the piston, I was saying before, has a pin which locates where the end of the rings are so that they don't get caught. So this gasket is not the right one for this. So as you can see there, it looks like, yeah, that's sweet as, but it's covering up the port. And it's not going to seal. That's just going to totally not work. I'm going to have to make a gasket. So I'll go get some gasket. We've got our gasket here and we've got our gasket paper. So we're going to use the old gasket which didn't quite fit as a template because it's pretty darn close. So we're pretty much, long story short, going to put it on here, draw a stencil or use it as a stencil, make allowances for the changes we've got to make. Right, for the next step, so I've got the gasket so it fits over all our dowels and studs. Now, another trick we can do is you push down on the gasket with a bit of force, just where you can feel the lip from the inside of the transfer, and it will leave an indentation, and you just do that all the way around. And so when we take the gasket off, it'll have a mark, and that's where we know where the edge is, and we'll just cut it along that line. Right, with one gasket made, I'm going to make two, and put two base gaskets and a thinner head gasket, which should move the power higher. So let's get to it. Boom! Now, we got two. Let's start assembly. Right, first step is we got to put our gaskets in position. Right, there we go. Now we're putting this barrel over the piston. We want to be super careful. We don't want to force it. We want to make sure the rings are compressed and they're going to slide in where they're supposed to go. These ones aren't too bad because they're low tension, being on a two-stroke. And just make sure nothing's binding, and then we can get her on, tap her down, and we'll be done. Right, so the barrel's all snugged up. We've chucked a new head gasket on here. Last but not least, let's put the head on there, put our nuts on, do them all up nice and evenly, and then we're going to torque them down to spec, and then we are ready to rumble. This has been Logan in the Motorcycle Forge, and we'll see you next time.